Hi everyone, Phoenix here. Welcome back to my nest, and today we are going to be doing a macaroni and cheese from scratch. And it's really good and also really easy. You can use any cheese you want as long as it's a melty cheese. It's going to be very basic. You're just going to need noodles, dairy, or non-dairy if you want to use that. Same with the butter. You can have a regular butter, you can have a Smart Balance. The cheese of your kind, if you know of a good vegan cheese, it's very melty. Obviously, you're going to use that for this. Any noodles that you like, I'm going to be using these nice little shell ones. They get that sauce quite nice. And any ingredients that you want to add into it. Macaroni is a nice blank canvas. You can add whatever cheeses you want, which means you can add things like bacon, chicken, tofu, broccoli, lobster. The options are really endless. So we're going to get started. This is going to be a basic one, not a baked one. So this will be nice and quick. All right, as you can see, I already have my pan over here and it's heated up on medium. I've got some nice sharp cheddar. I have some Gouda, bacon, butter. You're gonna need flour because you will make a roux. The noodles that I showed you, keep them in till the last minute. I have some milk here. You're also going to need spices. Just because it's macaroni and cheese doesn't mean you don't put any spices or seasoning in it. No one likes bland macaroni and cheese. So right there I've got the pepper, I've got the salt. I'm going to grab some more spices while I wait for this to heat up. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and do a tablespoon and a half of butter, as well as the bacon that I've got here because I want to crisp it up. It's leftover bacon, so I just want to crisp it back up to give it the texture I want. Garlic powder, always good. And, aha, there it is, paprika. Just a little bit tiny of a hint of a heat. Nothing too bad. Now you can, if you want to, make something like buffalo chicken blue cheese with blue cheese in it. I've actually had that before. It's really good. Okay, you can hear it, everything starting to sizzle. Now on top of crisping up the bacon, I'm going to be making a roux. This is what's going to give your sauce its thickness, not just the cheese itself. Now, if you are going to do dairy substitute, I've obviously got some low-fat milk here. You can do, I would suggest either almond or, no, so not almond, excuse me, hemp or soy milk. They are the most neutral in flavor. Just like anything else, if you are going to add almond, your macaroni and cheese is going to take that taste onto it. If you use coconut, it's definitely going to taste like coconut in there. So depending on what you're adding, what kind of cheeses you're adding, what kind of ingredients you're adding, keep that in mind with whatever milk you're using as a substitute. You want to make sure it plays well with that taste. Coconut does not mix with everything. Almond kind of does when it comes to cheese, coconut not so much. So just that you want to keep that in mind. Nice heaping tablespoon of flour. You want to make sure to coat it all. Now, a lot of times if you have pre-cooked bacon, if you already cooked it in a pan, you would not put it in here. I just want to crisp mine back up because once all the sauce ends in here, you cannot crisp the bacon. It just won't happen. Okay. I'm going to add some milk. You can hear that sizzle. Now, this is not baked mac and cheese, which means we are putting in raw noodles for this. A little more milk. the seasoning. Mix that all up together. You want to take your noodles, and add it right on in there. Obviously add as much or as little as you want. You want to make sure you have a big enough pan for this because the noodles will expand, just as if you were cooking it in water. Do not treat it any differently than that. Obviously, we use a lot of milk or milk substitute with this. If you want it even creamier, you can. You can use half and half. You could use, well, I wouldn't suggest the whole thing being cream. That might be a little too rich once you put the cheese in it. You're not going to add the cheese just yet. You want this to cook. It's going to take a little while. You can obviously add milk to adjust, because once this starts absorbing it, it will thicken up the sauce. It will make the noodles go bigger. It'll make less sauce as it is as well, because it is absorbing that milk. So make sure you have a little bit left over. Even some butter can be a nice substitute. Whatever you're doing when you're doing this to start your base, it has to be a butter substitute if you're not going to use butter. Oil will leave it too greasy. And I know that sounds weird because you're like, you're using butter. Oil has a different texture to it. Believe me, if you've used both, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't used both, just trust me on this. Or take a small pan, 2 small pans, and cut up half an onion. 1/2 cook it in just the butter, 1/2 cook it in just the onions, in the oil, and then look at the product afterwards. You'll see that the oil is a little bit more greasy than the butter is. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put a lid on this. I'm just gonna let it simmer and cook. All right, as you can see, it's nice and thick. Didn't take that long to do that at all. I'm going to add some more butter to this. I've already turned the temperature down to low because we won't need it that high anymore. Adding the cheddar. Yeah, be careful when you're stirring it because otherwise a lot will kick out. Then adding the Gouda. Now normally I do 3 cheeses and the third one would be Gruyere because that actually pairs really well with the bacon. Unfortunately though, it was hard for me to get Gruyere this time around. A lot of the stores were out. Probably a COVID thing, maybe just not in season. Whatever the reason was, there was plenty of Gouda, but no Gruyere. Okay. Oh, that is a very, very thick and delicious macaroni and cheese. Now I'm gonna add a little bit more milk to it, just to thin it out a little bit, because that's how I prefer it. But as you can see, there's absolutely nothing at all to making your own homemade macaroni and cheese. It's very simple. You can do it on the fly. You can do it with any cheese that you like in the store, as long as it's a melty cheese. Something like a Parmesan is going to be great to sprinkle on top, but it won't melt very easily in here. You could try it with mozzarella. You can even add a tang of blue cheese to it. You can add any protein you want to it. It'll be ready for you, and it'll give you far more options than Kraft ever will. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like that, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe as well as the little bell icon. If you have any questions, concerns, or suggestions for future video, make sure to hit that comment section below. Please follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I like to do little mini videos in between all these gigantic videos, and I post them on there. You'll find the links to that in either the banner or the back end of my channel under the About section. You can also find my professional email there. If you have any questions and you don't want to make it known to the whole world in my comment section, go ahead and hit me up there. I always respond back to everyone's emails. This is Phoenix, and I'll see you guys next time.